much for the organizers for inviting us, for inviting me, first of all, as a representative from the Macedonian Young Girls Association to this conference. First of all, I always start my discussion with who we are, because everybody are confused about this what does Young Girls Association means. Well, basically, we're a bunch of young girls up to 35 that provide free of charge legal assistance to Macedonian nationals, but as well foreigners. We are working since 2010 providing legal assistance to asylum seekers, persons under subsidiary protection, and refugees. This means that we cover the whole legal pathway from the process of the asylum application up till the administrative court and the higher administrative court, which means that we provide full legal assistance for persons that want to apply for asylum in Macedonia. So therefore, my presentation today will be more focused on what when people are in the asylum procedure, or what happens if they're not allowed to access to the asylum procedures. Sometimes the term of asylum seeker, refugee, and migrant are mixed, but these are rather different categories in terms of the type of protection that they can access. And this is why today, especially when we talked in 2015 and 2016 about the massive influx of people, we generally use the term migrants because we didn't put them in a certain and specific procedure. However, this is really important, especially if we talk about legal challenges. So the situation before the massive influx in 2015 was rather easy. Everyone that was a foreigner that was found to be of the territory of the country of Macedonia was easily put in an asylum procedure, regardless of the fact whether that person wanted to apply for asylum or not, because this was the procedure that offered the most protection here in Macedonia. However, the things changed, taking in consideration that at one point we had 6,000 people that genuinely didn't want to stay in the country. So how do we fix this thing? How do we, answer to this challenge that we face, and to do that on the legal side and on the side of the law? Well, this was very difficult. Since the asylum procedure as such implies that you have a will to stay in a certain country, this was rather difficult when we had people that genuinely wanted to leave. So in June 2015, we smartly brought a new institute in our law, which was the intention to seek asylum. The intention to seek asylum as such is not a condition for submitting an asylum application in Macedonia. It's simply a smart way how to regularize and legalize the transit of these people throughout the country. At the time in 2015, for us, this was a win, because we all of a sudden we were in the possibility as a country to provide a legal and safe avenues for these people to continue their journey. With registering the intention to seek asylum for every person that entered the country, we just provide the possibility for these people to have 72 hours in order to decide whether they want to stay in Macedonia and apply for asylum or not. After these 72 hours, and if these people or a person does not apply for asylum, it simply becomes an irregular migrant or a foreigner without a legal stay in the country, which is subjected then to another law, which is the law of foreigners. However, we as a country, in a way, we were lucky, if you take it from the governmental side, that everybody that submitted an intention to seek asylum, they genuinely didn't want to stay in the country, so they didn't want to apply for asylum. However good this might seem in 2015 and before the closure of the Western Balkan route, this seems to be a problem once the route was closed, because in general, the Ministry of Interior was not very keen to register anymore intentions to seek asylum or to register an asylum application. So all of a sudden, we became aware that, in theory, that the asylum as such is somewhere between the law and the politics. And this is, very well known, and we have Professor Martina who can explain that as well. But in practice, for us, it was really challenging, because you see that all of a sudden a possibility that was there in front of the people, everybody could have applied for asylum, was no longer possible. And this with only reason that people genuinely, even if they do apply for asylum and were allowed to apply for asylum, they didn't stay in the country more than 4 days. And this is me talking about the practical experience that we as an organization have. So, for example, in 2016, we had around 762 asylum applications and only 42 refugee status determination interviews. This means that only 42 people that from this 762 that applied for asylum had a chance to express, their opinion on an interview for the Minister of Interior. And the question is, why not the others? The rest of the 700 and something. Because they have left the reception center for asylum seekers within 4 days of submitting the application. So this presents a pattern that people from one side, they might not genuinely want to stay in the country, which is a problem, because then the asylum procedure as such is not effective for them. And from the other side, it can present that maybe in Macedonia there are no possibilities for integration that can be appealing to these people. Because we generally tend to live in this momentum that we are just a transit country. So we don't want to present other possibility than that to these people. Currently, up till today, there were 61 asylum applications submitted, so from January till today, and only 6 refugee status determination interviews, which again shows on a pattern. The majority of the people that actually applied for asylum in the country were persons that were at first detained in the detention center for foreigners in Gazibala. So the only solution for them to get out of this detention center was actually the asylum application. However, this is problematic. When you have only this legal mechanism for the people, it just means that they can, or the Minister of Interior can say that they are abusing the asylum procedure. So we have to be aware that people have different wishes in a way. And being a different category of person means that the different legal proceedings should apply, different legal safeguards should apply. In terms of what other legal resources we have according to our law is the humanitarian protection, which is part of the law on foreigners. According to this legal safeguard, a person that is unaccompanied, or it's up to 18 years old, a child, a person that is a victim of human trafficking, and as well as stateless person can apply for humanitarian protection in the Republic of Macedonia if there are no other grounds to regularize their stay. So this is another legal avenue for the people that generally don't want to apply for asylum in the country. Or if we talk about the people that were stranded for more than 9 months in the transit centers, a possible solution for them, and I'm saying a possible solution for them in the past tense in a way, was their stay to be regularized on a basis of a governmental decision. So with one governmental decision to be offered the humanitarian protection for all these people. This is not unknown as an institute in Macedonia. It was something that was done during the Kosovo crisis, where a massive number of people were granted humanitarian protection just in order to see, what will be next, for them to be placed in the system where you can easily identify what their protection needs are. But as I started at the beginning, it is up to the will, to the political will in general of the country, on how we can handle these cases. The legal mechanisms are here. So it's just up to us whether we're going to use these legal mechanisms or not. Currently in the transit centers, and here I bet there are people that know even more than me, especially in the transit center venue, there are 16 people. So we had 116 at one point, and currently we have only 16 people. In the transit center at Banovce, currently are 30 people present. And in the previous period, just a month before, there were around 100. We had a very specific situation where 49 people were returned to Greece according to the readmission agreement between Macedonia and the European Union. So this is another legal avenue that we can use, but to be used on time. However, what is problematic about the implementation of the readmission agreements is the legal safeguards for these people. I mean, we can all implement, political agreements that we have brought, but these people need to be, allowed to have a legal protection. Someone to provide them with the legal assistance and to explain them what this readmission agreement means and why they will be returned back to a different country. So I will stop here because I have too many things to say in terms of the legal procedures, but if any one of you has a question, I'm all available to answer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Martina. Maybe I can ask you two short, brief questions. If we check now the case files in the Ministry of Interior and at the courts, the administrative courts, we will either find the signature of one of your representatives in more than 90% of the cases.
100%.
Which is amazing. But how many successful applicants? That would be the first question. And the second question would be, you said Macedonia offered humanitarian protection to the refugees from Kosovo, just in order to give them at least some type of status, legal status in the country. What do you think about the current legal status? Is there a legal status for refugees and migrants now in Macedonia?
Yes, as I said, this was the focus of my presentation, that there are mechanisms to put these people in legal proceedings. Sorry, I was talking without the microphone, which is interesting. So there are possibilities for us to put these people into the system. And this is the most important thing. We have to see these people in the system because this is the only way how we can provide them with protection. And why am I saying this is because, and we will have the next panel and we will talk extensively, I think, on the pushbacks at what is going on currently, is that if people are not placed in some sort of a legal proceedings, then it's not possible to protect them. Then we'll have, and like it's happening right now, we have more than, as far as we know as an organization, and I bet there are even more, 100 people per day that are trying to cross illegal with the country and then continue their journey. And organizations that have missions in remote villages around the borders can tell you that in this number of people, the majority are women and children. So if they are not placed within the system, regardless of the procedure, whether it's an asylum procedure or it's a procedure for humanitarian protection for a foreigner, or it's a governmental decision to provide them with some sort of protection, this is the way forward. Because, and I do completely understand that it's not just Macedonia that is, currently sending back and forth people. And this is why we always emphasize that it's a more of a regional problem, and that's why we have this diverse panel. Because currently, governments on the Western Balkan route are simply exercising a regional policy on pushing people back and forth. And we have to think of a regional protection politics, we the protection actors in this sense. Because this is the only way how we can advocate to put these people within the system. And in terms of, I mentioned the number of asylum applications, the rating for successfulness of the asylum application is really low in the country currently. In 2017, we have no recognized refugee nor person under subsidiary protection. In 2016, we can talk only for about, I think, 5 children that were placed under subsidiary protection, but this is a very low number. In terms of the effectivity of the administrative and the higher administrative court as a body that should provide, the counterbalance of the Ministry of Interior, I can honestly say that they are not effective because the only grounds on which they decide is just the procedural matters. So they are not an effective remedy in terms of providing protection to these people. So we have a lot to learn in terms of how to use all these institutions in order to provide the full